I'd describe the deer situation in WA as being in its infancy while also being really old. So deer were introduced probably 100 years ago, 120 in some parts of WA, but compared to feral pigs, they haven't taken off and they still occupy that kind of zone of I've heard of deer. I don't think they're an issue, and I don't see particularly why the government would waste any time working on them. So they really do occupy the role of like an early invasion species, even though they've been here forever. Um, a lot of people are pretty sympathetic to deer. They're a good-looking animal, but while there are definitely keen hunters, WA is quite a different hunting culture to a lot of other states. We don't have any shooting on public land, which means that it's a it's not, but it feels like an underground pastime sometimes. And so I think, yeah, generally speaking, the sentiment is we don't mind them. We don't think they're particularly important compared to all the other pests we have. And that's the awareness is low. That's pretty much deer in WA. Given their low numbers, our plan is to really carefully assess feasibility. So at the moment, we have essentially a two-pronged, and it falls along species lines, a two-pronged approach. The first is we want to eradicate rooster deer from WA. They're only found in one location thus far. It is a particularly challenging area to work. It's a lot of mix of small landholders, and we're probably going to be reliant on aerial control, which for those areas will be a new thing for them. WA does lots of aerial control, but it's way out in the desert. We never work in small landholdings, and we're going to try and do that now. That's the first prong. The second prong is we have two demonstration sites, both of which have got both red and fallow deer. And under a research program that's fallen under a big program called the Vertebrate Pest Management Program, we're trying to, for want of a better word, throw the book at them, do everything we can to knock those populations down, see with all the tools and the assets that the state government has, what difference we can make. And if that difference is significant, how do we extrapolate that to a larger area? Right now would be the ideal time to really get on to feral deer. They are definitely expanding in WA, and while they haven't exploded with the 100 years they've been here, like they have on the East Coast, they are the prevalence of deer farming in the 90s has definitely pulled them out of that low density pest danger zone that we see a lot of our significant conservation species sit in, and they're now very much pretty established and growing. And so the challenge is we can jump onto it early, but convincing the public that it's worthwhile to jump onto pests early is always tricky because it's not front of mind for them compared to the millions of feral pigs that they're all more concerned about. Really, our focus is on aerial control, particularly thermally assisted aerial control. We are probably one of the big believers in how effective that technique is. We have a lot of runs on the board doing traditional aerial control out in the desert. And so I think for us and for a lot of our staff who do the shooting, moving into dense areas with a thick canopy and particularly a pest that is pretty hard to see it'll be a really a challenging time. And the addition of thermal technology will assist with that. We have very low density populations. So while ground control can be by all means effective at the local scale, in an area where we have across a large area but relatively few animals, ground control is unlikely to be super effective. What we're really hanging out for, though, is the developments in the space around bait delivery for deer. A lot of people in WA ask us if they were going to do something on feral deer, what can I do other than just have a shot every now and again? And at the moment, we don't really have particularly good answers. Trapping is obviously an option, but very tricky, and the potential for welfare outcomes that are suboptimal there are really high. So having some mechanism of delivering a bait is, like most pests, is likely to be a really useful option. But the primary focus for us is aerial control. There's a few. Internally, our department has not embarked on an eradication program for a vertebrate pest in a very long time. with one or two small exceptions. We had a small feral population of squirrels, which was escaped from Perth Zoo and have been there for 80 years, and we sorted them out. We've ruined a lot of children's Christmas parties because they they loved them. But other than that, yeah, we our department has not really embarked on a large eradication program for a large vertebrate pest. So we have, which is a bit of a a step forward for us, is we've done a lot of surveys leading up to it. We've drafted and revised eradication plans. We've secured estate funding. We've brought together experts and reviewed each of our bits of development in this space by scientists in other states and independent bodies. So I think it's the big development for us is it's been quite a new approach for us to plan it as carefully as we have. We haven't even fired around yet, but I think we're a lot better prepared than we've ever been to do that.